Hello, I'm Avis Kalfsbeck, and this is the Peace is Here podcast. Welcome to Peacewarts, School of Peacecraft and Inquiry, where we practice the skills of peace through short daily classes. We take the peace work seriously, but not ourselves. If you're joining us mid-school year, you're not late. Orientation begins at episode 198. Welcome, Peace Scholars. In our last orientation, we were in the Department of Universal Understars in the tower, calibrating our lenses to the stars. Today we descend. We leave the ozone and the brass instruments behind and enter the Department of Living Roots. Wendell Berry, writer, farmer, and cultural philosopher, said, "The soil is the great connector of lives, the source and destination of all. It is the healer and the restorer and the resurrector, by which disease passes into health, age into youth, death into life. Without proper care for it, we can have no community, because without proper care for it, we can have no life." You'll notice the air here is heavy and warm. It smells of damp earth, decaying leaves, and new life. If Universal Understars 101 was about the high view, this department is about the root system. We aren't looking at the horizon anymore. We are looking at the dirt beneath our fingernails. The department motto, the law of return. The motto of this department is simple: nothing is taken that is not returned. In other places, you might study botany as a way to categorize the world, to label what is useful and what is weed. But here we study the ethics of the soil. We believe that peace is a biological practice. You cannot keep extracting from the ground or from a community without putting something back. If you do, the system collapses. This department exists to prevent extraction masquerading as peace. The equipment check, tending the growth. In this greenhouse, we don't use wands to force a bloom. We use patience. We practice a sort of growth charm that isn't found in a book of incantations, but in the consistency of our care. Your primary instrument in this department is your ability to notice. You need to notice when a system is root-bound, where the energy is stuck and can't expand. You need to notice when a monoculture of thought is stripping the nutrients from our social soil. To be a scholar of living roots is to be a scholar of repair. The warning, the trap of the static garden. A word of caution: it is easy to look at a garden and want it to stay exactly as it is. We like the flowers when they are in bloom, but a garden that doesn't change is a dead garden. In this department, we embrace the compost. We embrace the messy parts of peace, the rot, the worms, and the slow, dark work of reallocation. If you are afraid of getting your hands dirty, or if you think peace should be tidy, you may find the lessons here very challenging. But if you press on, we promise it will be rewarding. Now let's put our hands in the dirt. Today's topic is soil as peace treaty. If we look back at the history of human conflict, soil is often the first treaty we break. Soil is the multi-species infrastructure that allows a society to exist. When that infrastructure fails, conflict is almost always the downstream result. To understand peace, you must understand these four historical and scientific cause and effect chains. 1. The Mesopotamian Salinization. In ancient Sumer, intensive irrigation without proper drainage led to salinization, salt rising to the surface and poisoning the grain. As the soil failed, the calorie supply plummeted. This led to internal instability and left the region vulnerable to invasion. The collapse was an agricultural failure before it was a military one. 2. The Dust Bowl and Displacement. In the 1930s, the deep plowing of the American Great Plains destroyed the root systems of the native grasses. When the drought hit, the topsoil, the literal infrastructure of the economy, blew away. This caused the largest displacement of people in American history. Displacement is a primary driver of social friction. When people are forced to move because the land can no longer feed them, the risk of conflict over new resources rises exponentially. 3. Colonial extraction and monocultures. Colonial agriculture was designed for extraction, not return. Large-scale monocultures like sugar or cotton strip the soil of specific nutrients, requiring the constant conquest of new land to keep the system profitable. This extractive loop necessitated a standing military to seize more fresh soil. A society that cannot maintain its own soil is a society that is forced to be predatory. 4. Modern fertilizer dependency. Currently, global peace is tethered to synthetic nitrogen fertilizers derived from the same processes used to make explosives. Because we have destroyed the natural multi-species treaty of the soil, the fungi and bacteria that fix nitrogen naturally, we are now dependent on a high-energy, fossil fuel-intensive supply chain. If that supply chain breaks, the resulting food scarcity becomes an immediate trigger for civil unrest. Your homework. Interrupt your routine. Wait, maybe this has now become your routine. Look up the Dust Bowl and human displacement. 2. Write down one question you have about how food scarcity impacts local peace or anything about this episode. If no question comes to mind, just write, "No question." 3. Optional. Journal for 5 minutes about where your calories come from. Do they come from a local law of return system or an extractive monoculture system? The work of the worm. We value the work of the worm, the literal engineer of the law of return. The worm stays in the earth, doing the vital work of turning waste into life. Until our next class, keep your feet in the living roots. Class dismissed. Thank you for listening. Did you know that the stuff we buy can contribute to world conflicts? It's true. My new book, Peace Stuff Enough, is out now to help us keep our stuff longer and buy less stuff, because peace starts in our homes. If you'd like to support the Pieces Here podcast, the most helpful way is to follow it wherever you're listening. It helps me share the message with others. You can also support this piecework at my Patreon for about what a used paperback goes for these days. Just go to Patreon at patreon.com/Avis Kalfsbeck. That's AVISKALFSBEEK. You can find all of my peace projects and stay in touch at aviskalfsbeck.com. Music is by Javier Peque Rodriguez. Sound effects are from Pixabay. Regarding peace, we need not delay or despair. We are not late. We are right on time to love. We are all scholars of peace. Listen for the peace.